Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, men's golf showed out at the Hoosier Collegiate.
And IU baseball had a dramatic weekend series victory. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Victoria Rhemrev. 75 and sunny in Bloomington.
It's been so nice. I just wish I could go outside, but final projects are keeping me indoors. But hopefully,
so many people are on campus.
Yeah, hopefully we can get outside soon. Indiana baseball won their 5th series in a row against Iowa this past weekend. Our Joe Brennan has the recap.
The Hoosiers take down the Hawkeyes on their Easter weekend series 2-1. A Big Ten matchup that meant just a little bit more to this Hoosier team.
You know, it does. It was emotional for them. It was kind of vindication that all the work and all the time was worth it. And, you know, a little bit of egg on your face, you know, in some of those moments last year, you know, you can wipe some of it off and kind of feel like it was all worth it a little bit.
On Friday, Indiana faced the Iowa ace, Brody Breck, and struggled to get anything going offensively. Indiana was only able to get 4 hits on the day with 1 run, falling to Iowa 7-1. On Saturday, it was a pitching clinic. The two squads battled back and forth, waiting to see who would break the ice first. Still scoreless in the bottom of the 10th, Morgan Colopy answered the call with a 2-run walk-off homer to capture the win 2-0.
To be honest, I don't really remember after I hit second base. I kind of just blacked out. I was just so excited for our team for winning that big game.
This set the stage for an exciting Sunday showcase. Indiana was scoreless, struggling to get runners home until the bottom of the 7th. But it was Indiana's 3-run 8th inning that sealed the deal and allowed Indiana to take the series. And with today's win, the Hoosiers avenge last season's sweep. This is their 3rd consecutive series win against a Big Ten opponent and their 5th consecutive overall. Indiana will face Ball State on Tuesday. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Joe Brennan.
The Hoosiers kept their win streak going in a 16-13 win against Ball State on Tuesday. Their eyes are now on a 6th straight series victory as they travel to Illinois to face the Fighting Illini.
After their winning streak has snapped against Minnesota over the weekend, Indiana softball looked to bounce back against Louisville. Natalie Millar has the scoop.
The Hoosiers are back at home at the Andy Moore Field playing the Louisville Cardinals after a loss that ended the Hoosiers' 23-game winning streak this past weekend.
Coming off the Minnesota weekend, I know up there we hit the ball pretty well, but we didn't play a clean defense, and so it's nice to come off of those losses and just, you know, show up and get the job done.
Starting off strong, the Hoosiers held off the Cardinals from scoring, but brought in 3 runs for themselves just within the 1st inning, putting them ahead of the punch.
It was early out of the gate, scoring early and scoring often. And there was an inning there where, man, I was a little disappointed. I felt like we were the losing team the way we were playing. We just looked a little stressed. We looked a little tight, and we let them back in it with some of the mistakes that lack a clean D.
Regardless of the errors, Sarah Stone not only helped the Hoosiers win, but had 5 RBIs against the Cardinals.
I liked the most what you picked up on was her taking home on the ground ball when it was thrown across the infield. You know, it takes guts.
Despite the Hoosiers going through 4 pitchers tonight, Bree Copeland came in and rocked the house by striking out 4 of the Cardinals batters in the last 2 innings.
Bree slamming that shut. You know what, she struck out 4 of the 8 she saw to get her 100th strikeout, throwing some gas.
The Hoosiers will now take on the Fighting Irish at 5 p.m. in South Bend, Indiana tonight. From Bloomington, Natalie Millar with IUS TV Sports.
While not in a suit on the sidelines, Mike Woodson has been very busy this offseason in the transfer portal. Indiana picked up their 2nd transfer of the offseason earlier this week with the addition of Khalil Ware. Ware, a former 5-star and McDonald's All-American in 2022, played his freshman season at Oregon, averaging 6.6 points and 4.1 rebounds in 15.8 minutes per game. Ware joins Ball State forward Peyton Sparks, who committed 2 weeks ago. The newcomers alongside Malik Renew will look to bolster a front court that just lost seniors Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson.
The WNBA draft was on Monday, and the Indiana fans could not be more excited that former star guard Grace Berger was drafted to the Indiana Fever. Berger was the 7th pick, and IU head coach Terry Morin was in attendance in support of her. Berger had an outstanding career at Indiana. She has the most wins in IU history and helped lead the Hoosiers to a Big Ten title this season. Even though she won't be in candy stripes, IU fans can travel to Indy this summer to see her play in a Fever jersey.
Indiana men's golf hosted the Hoosier Collegiate this past weekend, where they finished in 2nd place for the tournament. Mitch Davis shot a course record of 66 on Sunday on his way to a 5th place finish at 2 over par. 3 other Hoosiers finished in the top 15 as Drew Salyers finished 7 over to finish in a tie for 8th place. Noah Gillard finished at 8 over par, which placed him tied for 10th. Despite not competing for the Hoosiers, 5th-year senior Thomas Hersey finished in 2nd place after shooting 1 under par for the tournament. The Hoosiers will be back in action on April 22nd at the Fighting Illini Collegiate in Urbana, Illinois.
Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And we'll have the latest on water polo, tennis, and more. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Now joining us for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Griffin Healy. Griffin?
Thanks, Ryan and Victoria. Indiana baseball is having one spectacular season. Currently 22-10 and 7-2 in Big Ten play. This weekend's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week is redshirt junior outfielder Morgan Colopy of Centerville, Ohio. Last Friday, the Hoosiers took on the Iowa Hawkeyes and lost the first game of the series and their first home game by a score of 7-1. On Saturday, however, Colopy took things into his own hands. In the bottom of the 10th inning, Colopy stepped up to the plate with 1 out and hit a 2-run home run to secure the Hoosier victory. Following Colopy's walk-off home run, he got the start on Sunday. His first one since March 16th. The Hoosiers would defeat the Hawkeyes by a score of 4-2. That's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week. Ryan, back to you.
Indiana water polo fell in a heartbreaker against Michigan last Friday, 9-8. The Hoosiers had a hot start with a 2-goal lead from seniors Zoe Crouch and Robin Greenslade. Indiana held the lead until late in the first, tacking on a few to make it a score of 4-2. It wasn't until the very end that Michigan climbed back onto the scoreboard to tie it 5-5. From then on, the score went back and forth between the opponents until Michigan went up with 3 unanswered. Sophomore Sophia Soli gave it her best attempt at a comeback, but could only come up with it within 1. The Hoosiers will travel back to California for 2 games this weekend against San Jose State and Santa Clara.
It was a rainy weekend in Rocky Top for the Indiana track team as they competed in the Tennessee Invitational. Paula Fernandez Sola set the tone for the Hoosiers with the first place finish in the long jump, which puts her on top in the Big Ten as well. Distance runners Jake Gerhardt and Claire Overfelt won gold medals in the 3,000 and the 5,000 meter runs.
Indiana women's tennis hosted Michigan State and Michigan this past weekend. Our Sam Brunsman has the recap.
On 2 beautiful sunny days, it was the first outdoor match play for the Indiana women's tennis team.
The Indiana women's tennis team split a pair of home matches this past weekend against the Michigan State Spartans and the number 3rd ranked Michigan Wolverines.
On Saturday, the Hoosiers defeated Michigan State 4-0 at the IU Tennis Center. Indiana got off to a strong start in doubles play when they won no 1 and no 2 doubles to go up 1-0. The Hoosiers kept the momentum going in singles play as Sabi Mihalani, Mila Manic, and Alex Stykulescu won at no 2, 3, and 4 singles. On Sunday,
it was senior day against the Wolverines, and it was a very emotional and tough, gritty match.
You know, I told after every match we finished with the seniors, all of them have always competed their hearts out. And that's all, as a coach, that's all you can ask. And wins and losses come and go. But, you know, the way they competed, the way they represented this university, I'm just really proud of them. The season is not over. You know, by no means we're in the middle of the mix, so we just got to keep going. But for them to have this early of a senior day and to be able to compete the way they did. Really, really proud of them and really happy for them.
I love my seniors. I mean, I think they're all a leader in their own way. I'm really sad that it's senior day and we played Michigan on senior day, but they all work so hard and they're all such role models to me and we're all such good friends, so it's going to be really hard for them not to be here next year.
The Hoosiers will travel to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers next Saturday. For IUS TV, I am Sam Brunsman.
The Indiana men's tennis team went on the road to face two top 50 ranked opponents in Big Ten play. Against number 47th Nebraska, the Hoosiers came out strong with a winning doubles performance from Pat Fletchall and Ilya Tiraspolsky. In singles, Tiraspolsky and Sam Landau both won 3-set thrillers, but the team couldn't finish it out and lost the match 5-2. They then faced 49th ranked Wisconsin in a tough battle that saw 4 of the 6 singles matches go to the distance. Sam Landau was the only Hoosier win after coming back from a set down, with the team losing 6-1. Indiana now moves to a 12-10 record and a 1-4 in conference play. The Hoosiers are back in action this Saturday to face number 6th ranked Michigan at the IU Tennis Center.
Now joining us with the Candy Stripe calendar report is IUS TV sports reporter Sam Brunsman. Sam?
Thanks, Ryan. It's another packed weekend for IU athletics. The Indiana track and field team will compete in the Louisville Invitational in Kentucky and the Brian Clay Invitational in California. The Indiana softball team will begin their weekend series tomorrow as they take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers here in Bloomington. To conclude Friday's action, baseball will travel to Champaign, Illinois, where they will take on the Fighting Illini. Saturday starts with a splash as the women's rowing team will scrimmage the Ohio State Buckeyes here in Bloomington. The women's golf team will head to Columbus, Ohio to compete in the Lady Buckeye Invitational. The women's tennis team travels to West Lafayette to take on rival Purdue, and the rackets will continue to swing as the number 6 ranked Michigan Wolverines will travel to Bloomington to take on the Indiana men's tennis team. The women's soccer team will kick it back into action as they take on Illinois at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Batter up as the softball and baseball teams continue their series against Nebraska and Illinois. And we wrap up a jam-packed Saturday as the women's water polo team travels to California to take on San Jose State. On Sunday, the women's golf team will finish playing at the Lady Buckeye Invitational. Softball and baseball will close out their series against Nebraska and Illinois, and the men's tennis team continues their home stretch as the Michigan State Spartans come to town. And lastly, the women's water polo team will take on Santa Clara to finish their trip out west. That's all for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Sam, and that's all for our show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUS TV Sports. For our production crew behind us, I'm Victoria Rhemrev.
And I'm Ryan Costello. We'll see you next week.